I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello, and welcome to Season 34, Episode 17 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Noir.
Woo. In today's episode, Jeff asks about publishing his ideas, Verk from DC asks if APs are performances, and from the archive 2018, Ed from Minnesota has a story about plate tectonics. If you'd like to contribute a question or story to the show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com, or you can post in the mailbag channel in the Discord. Please send us in some emails or stories or questions or whatever you'd like, because we're running a bit low and I'm a little stressed out about it. All right. Noir, hello. Who are you and what makes you famous?
Absolutely nothing, but hi, I'm Noir. I go by Hive. I do a bunch of actual plays and interview shows. I am now out of interview shows, so I have to make my own because I like talking to people. And yeah, I do Star Trek on with the Stream Punks.
Yeah.
So that's essentially me.
Amazing. And we've been mutuals and like online friends for a long time, so welcome finally to the show.
We're finally talking like human people.
It's wild, right? Who knew? Also, you happen to be on this amazing new AP that's happening right now with the new Die RPG system on the Happy Jacks
my
RPG
God.
Network.
I'm so excited. I get to play like the worst person.
I know. It's so good. Very, very
I mean,
good.
I think we're some version of our worst selves all the way around the table.
Yes.
It's gonna be interesting.
So, very exciting to see where all that madness goes. It's very, very good. All right. Announcements. Game Days is happening November 2nd. That's this next coming week, if you're listening. And then hopefully I post this in time for you to actually go to the Discord, happyjacks.org/Discord. You can sign up to run or play in a game. There's a couple different things. Eat the Reich is posted for this Saturday. And yeah, so November 2nd, go play. And I wanted to thank everyone for your patience. I've been dealing with pneumonia and health issues this month, so I got behind on posting stuff. We should be all caught up as of a couple hours ago, because I spent most of today trying to catch up.
It's all these alerts popping
Yeah,
up
I'm
like,
just
oh,
thinking-
Happy Jacks.
Ooh, Kimmy's antibiotics kicked in. Woohoo! She's on steroids. So yeah. So I'm not gonna write a zine, but I have a lot of energy from the steroids I'm on. So very excited.
We don't have zine drugs.
No. Yeah,
Regular drugs.
just regular drugs. And I'm not allowed to write a zine until I finish writing Starscape. I feel a lot of people will get out their angry pitchforks. All right. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for your patience with all that this month. Indie Designer of the Month. Our Indie Designer of the Month for October is Audrey Stoltz, aka Lady Tabletop, she, they. You can find her games at ladytabletop.itch.io and hopepunkpress.com. And she also runs a solo game podcast called Alone at the Table, which you should absolutely check out. This week, we're talking about her game Wreck the Deck. Wreck the Deck is an urban fantasy game of solo journaling, demon summoning, and deck crafting. Summon and bind demons to your demon deck, defacing the cards as you go. Demon summoning is dangerous, and you're bound to get into some sticky situations as you play, but it's nothing you can't handle, right? In Wreck the Deck, you will delve into dark knowledge and live life on the edge as a demon summoning deck runner. Bind demons to your haunted deck, wielding their strength for yourself, and modify playing cards, creating a personalized deck splattered with paint, blood, and sigils. Unleash the power of your demon deck to fight corporations, right injustice, and protect your community.
Fuck yeah.
And you can get that game for $12.50 at ladytabletop.itch.io. Love me some, love me some crafty games where you get to make stuff and also use demonic forces to fight capitalism. I'm in. So
Yeah.
Awesome.
very cool, awesome. All right, wow, I went through all that stuff really fast tonight. It's
You're on
the
it.
steroids.
Yeah.
All right, yay. Cool. I guess mailbag number 1.
I want to. Can I dibs 3? Because I'm the oldest person on this call, and it's from the archive.
Okay, sure, you can, absolutely. Do you want to read this first one, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'll give it a spin. All right. Here we go. Chicago Public School Education. Hello, Happy Jackers. A little over a year ago, I emailed about my then early stage GURPS campaign where I had homebrewed GURPS.
Yeah, that's
I used to remember what it stood for. It's like general universal role-playing system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's still in there. GURPS campaign where I had homebrewed a bunch of mechanics to make the game trope style, i.e. a campaign where there are more PCs than players. And the players rotate between PCs to the point where, at least in my game, every player has played every PC.
I remember that.
That campaign
Yeah.
is...
Sorry, we're talking about the email.
I'm just like, that sounds like a lot.
It is a lot to keep track of.
It
Yeah.
is, but if I remember correctly, there was some really cool way they had of like rotating, and everybody kept like a log for each character. So as it passed around, it was sort of like, I don't know, some of those storytelling games where you like are like creating a story together, except each character was sort of like that.
It also makes it really easy for however many people can show up this week. You can still play.
Yeah.
Because it's whoever's here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is showing me how selfish I am, because I'm like, don't touch my character.
We all deal with that.
Yes.
That's for real.
Just turned into straight golem. Let's see. That campaign is reaching its climactic end, and to be honest, I think it may be the best campaign I've ever run. Currently at 92 sessions.
Holy frijoles.
92 sessions. Oh my god.
I really want to know how many players that you had, buddy.
That's got to be like 2 years worth of, right? Unless they're playing twice a week.
Well, a little over a year ago, I emailed about my then early stage. So 92 sessions between a little over a year ago and now.
Wow. Okay. Holy.
That's a lot.
I'm so impressed.
I mean, you should put that on your resume, no lie.
Yeah.
In part because of the narrative and mechanical affordance of trope-style play, and in no small part to my wonderful players. As it comes to a close, I'm considering something which feels ridiculously ambitious: publishing my own guide to running trope-style campaigns. I'd want the guide to be system neutral, so anyone in any game system could use it to turn a normal campaign to a trope style one.
I think it's I think it might be troop style.
Troop? Oh Lord, what am I saying? I said trope. Wow. See, I told you that.
No, it doesn't matter. It just was doesn't matter at all. Just seemed
No, I
notable.
appreciate you. Listen, you saved me from a YouTube comment.
that happens. Yeah.
So anyone in any game system could use it to turn a normal campaign into a troop. I forgot what you said already. Style game. Style one. It would ideally have open-ended advice, but also system-neutral mechanics and subsystems that game masters and players could port into their campaigns to help facilitate and enhance troop-style play. Y'all at Happy Jacks have a ton of experience publishing your own games, so my question is this: is this idea too ambitious? For my work, I write and publish a lot, so I'm confident in my ability to put pen to paper and produce a first draft. But this would be a product that one requires the use of other products since it wouldn't have a standalone mechanics. Two has to be universally compatible, and three is really only usable at the start of a campaign. Oh, and four would require multiple sessions to experience all of the mechanics slash benefits. How on earth could I plausibly play test something like this, especially since I just moved to the Netherlands and have no gaming connections yet? Is this idea too ambitious? This feels very daunting, but I'm enthusiastic enough to write an email to the experts. Any and all reactions are welcome, and thank you. Jeff, geek underscore the underscore GM on socials, mainly TikTok. P.S. Pour a cold one for a campaign about to reach 100 sessions.
Oh, cheers.
All right, I
that.
like
Yeah.
that flex at the end. I like that flex at the end there, buddy.
Yep. And Jeff, I'm sorry the experts couldn't be here today, so you got us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I ain't right. Goddamn thing.
Yeah, so publishing a thing. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot. Now, I mean, there's different levels of publishing. Like, I feel like this might be something that could do very well just electronically as like a PDF publication, and that saves you a lot of work. A
Yeah.
lot of work. Like, getting a physical thing made is the most annoying, most frustrating, most expensive, longest thing ever. Is annoying. And I'm doing it a lot. And I don't know why I keep doing it.
I want to make sure. Does he want to do this just for GURPS games or a guide
For
to
all
any
systems.
game system?
Yeah.
Any game
For all
system.
systems.
Yeah.
Right.
I see, that's the part about it that I was like, like, from at least from my experience, and I've done a lot of like looking at the industry recently, especially indie stuff. Niche stuff tends to do better once you find your audience. It's the things that try and be too general that end up not catching anybody's eye.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like you do better, Jeff, doing like, okay, this is my guide for GURPS, and then you've already play tested it, so that would be a great place to start.
Yeah.
And then maybe if you wanted to do it for something else, like run another campaign in this style in another system, and then write that guide, and then it could be like a collection or something. But I feel like, because everyone has like the fantasy heartbreaker that they want to write, and the reason why so many of those RPG fantasy heartbreakers never do well is because there's so many of them, and the ones that are like weird or unique are the ones that really start to break through and catch people's notice. Like we were just talking about, Eat the Right it's being run at Game Days this weekend. Super weird, strange concept, catches people's attention right away. Even if you like have no general interest in vampire lore, you're like, wait, I'm a vampire eating Nazis? That's interesting. Okay. Like, I could get into this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like they'd leave a bad taste in your mouth, but
Could be worth it.
I mean, there's one less walking around. So
yeah,
always a
that's
good
worth
thing.
it.
Yeah,
That's worth it. You're doing
exactly.
it's community service.
Yeah.
Like, if I could just tag in, I just to you, Jeff. I think the most important sentence out of everything you wrote is, I'm enthusiastic enough to write an email to the experts. You want to do this right now. It feels like this email is kind of being like, hey, talk me out of this thing that I really want to do. If you want to do it, like, do it, man. Like, I guess the question is, why are you doing it? Are you doing it so you can publish a successful thing, or are you doing it because you had fun playing troop style and you want to share that? If it's the latter, then flip and go for it. If you sell one or none, it's still a success because you came in wanting to share something cool.
Yeah.
If it's the first thing where you want to write a successful thing, then yeah, you got to talk to these two.
Yeah, but that's a really great point, right? Like if you're not worried about a print edition, right? If you're just going to sell a PDF, you really do. It's such a low overhead. Like maybe you want to get an editor involved and pay for some of that out of your pocket, or just edit yourself if you're. I mean, I know you write professionally, so that could maybe save you some money there. But I think the thing I would come back to, no matter what project I'm working on, is what problem am I solving, right? And if the problem is there is not a guide for troop style play out there, well, that's a problem, right? That's the problem you're solving, and stick to it. And I would say you could write the guide like, here's how we did it in GURPS. And I mean, it does seem like troop style play is going to be system agnostic. Like, I don't see why that would necessarily tag in, right? Like, every game has a character sheet. Well, or every game that you're going to use this with, there's a character sheet and a cast of characters and a cast of players, and you're going to cycle through who's playing whom. So there's that. But for me, that's just my number one thesis statement for the project I published and the 5 more that I've got that I have to pick one and do. What problem am I solving, right? If I come at it that way, and I try to think really critically about what is it, like, if I'm putting this out in the world, it's because I'm saying the world needs this, which has a whole vibe of guts that it takes to do that. And it's awesome that you're fired up and ready to do this. That is good. Because it takes that to get it done. But if you can lay out for yourself, what am I solving? Why does the world need this? And I'm not saying it doesn't, right? I'm not making that point. I'm just saying you need to answer that for yourself to keep that energy going. Because at some point, you will feel less enthusiastic about it. And I don't want you to run out of gas and not have the energy to get across the finish line. So,
for real, you sound super pumped about doing this thing, man. Like, so if you're motivated by spite like I am, you really love troop style. Do you really want some other person that might be like the worst to be the one that comes out with this book that you're dreaming of right now? Screw that guy. You do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting, Jason, that you were thinking that something like this wouldn't matter with mechanics. Like, I guess it would depend on how you did it, because I was actually, when we were reading the email, thinking the opposite, that like that there are some games that have mechanics. I guess if you're sticking with more traditional games like GURPS and D&D and stuff like that, they all do kind of hit that same format. But a lot of I don't know, more new games like have a lot of different things. Like, I don't know how would you tweak this for something like PBTA where you have like a playbook instead? Like, would that be?
I think it's the same. I mean, a playbook, it outlines class abilities and skills, and it's a character sheet, right? In my mind, that's how I treat it. There are some people who don't like the way I did PBTA, but that's okay. They're wrong. But that's not true. I just did it the way I wanted to do it. But that was part of my what's broken, like what's not out there. Is I felt like a lot of PBTA games were too bossy and telling me how to play. I was like, well, I want something a little more open than that. And like, here you go. Here's a thing you can use to play in the world that you make.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you how to play. I'm not going to Kool-Aid Man into your house and tell you you're doing it wrong.
Aren't you though? Aren't you?
I mean, if the right set of conditions occurs, I do appear in your house, but I'm not going to say what that is. The idea is, if we're starting with GURPS and traditional gaming definitely is compatible, I would think, right? If you're talking about GURPS, Vampire, Shadowrun, D&D, and I think even something like Masks, if we say, okay, it's the X-Men school, right? And there's all these teens at the school, and we've got all these playbooks in play, and these 9 characters are our main characters, and we're going to just...
Sorry, did you just call it the X-Men school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It killed me inside a little bit as well, but it's cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm
the comic book casual. Yeah.
I think Star Trek has something like this built in, And I've played a game like Star Trek has supporting characters where everybody can essentially assume a supporting character if they need to be in the scene, and that's hard. Like I tried it with a group of really good role players, and it's hard.
It
So
is.
like there it's not inherent because I think it runs counterintuitive of how we have been trained to play these games. Like D&D is very much like a here's your character sheet. This is you forever. And
Yeah.
it's just so
Yeah, having a
adding
guide is a great way to make sure everyone's on the
yeah.
same page about how to do that together. Um, and it feels like the guide though is going to be something that all of the people participating in the game need to read.
Oh yeah.
So it's got to be brief, right? Like it has to be consumable by people who are not willing to put in the amount of time that the DM is willing to put in. So that's just a little bit of advice there, as I would say keep it simple and brief.
Or have a player section. Like this is what everybody has to read. GM,
Yep,
here's a
yep.
GM section. Here's more in depth about how you do that while you're running, initial character creation. Here's what you do, all those things. See, and then like just to play devil's advocate, I'm like, okay, if you're doing this, like it seems like it's like Noir, you were just saying, like this is what we've been trained. These are how these games are designed and made. If you are fundamentally changing a system that much, why aren't you making a new game?
Mm.
Like, I mean, really, like maybe that's something you should look at, Jeff, and be like,
That's not necessarily the answer.
no, but it's not the answer either. Like, I feel like you could end up with something very cool and very elegant that might actually serve your purpose more and like be something that is more playable rather than like forcing these square pegs into this round hole. Like take this square peg, sand it until it fits perfectly into this round hole.
Yeah.
And then sell that nice round peg.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's actually I'm coming around on this because we talk all the time about like let's not take vampire and try to play medieval fantasy, right? Because it's built to be modern and has all these vibes to it, right? Or don't take D&D and play Battlestar Galactica, right? Like it's really hard to map these things together, and there's a bunch of stuff that does it better, right? And it seems like troop style, your system of running troop style, which is the thing people can go and look up if they're curious. I mean, that's there's like an established idea around it. But if you're going to codify something into a booklet that you want people to buy, maybe making it its own thing with the sort of nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And if you want to use it with a different system, you can, right? But if you don't want to use any of those systems, here's how you could play this game. But that is way more work for you.
It is.
And you may want to just codify your troop style gaming advice and do something like that.
Yeah, I guarantee if you decide to make your own game system, at some point you will regret your choice. Eventually you'll probably come around again, but you never know. There's always the risk.
I think y'all have got me on the side of make your own system because I was just sitting here thinking like I've seen a couple of different systems that are just like, and you can play this with PBTA or like Orc or like all these different ones. And when I get that many options, I don't want it. Get this book away from me. You might be right. You're right.
I used to be really into like the generic game systems, and I still like them. Because I like that I can tweak them and do something very specific with them. But when it comes to actually creating like systems and stories, I think that especially just with the way the market is and looking at everything, if you're talking about really publishing a product, something you want people to be interested in picking up, like make yourself unique, make yourself different. Like, GURPS is fine. gosh, what was the Fantasy Flight one? That was generic. That was
Oh, well, there was D20
Cortex?
Modern, Cortex.
Yeah,
Is a
Cortex.
great
But-
example.
Cypher.
yeah, but
Cypher.
there's the one that was it was like the generic version of their funky dice that they used for their Star Wars. Genesis. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, their Genesis system. I actually was really into that for a while, but I found that I liked their Star Wars version, Fantasy Flight Star Wars. I liked their Fantasy Flight, like L5R. I liked all these takes on it more than the generic system because they were able to lean into the vibes of each of those systems so much. Even with their really annoying custom dice that you needed to play, like they were able to really like the more specific and the more unique experience someone gets from an RPG, the more it's going to speak to them and the more of an audience it's going to have. It's better to shout loudly to a group of, 100 people who are all into the thing you're shouting about than to shout loudly to a group of 200,000 people who are not interested in what you're saying at all. So that's my philosophy when it comes to what I'm trying to make if I make things in the RPG space.
Yeah.
Are there going to be 50 people who really like this? Cool. Then I will spend time on it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I'm
That
excited.
Star Wars system was so good. I'm so
So good. And I loved the weird dice. I know they were so annoying to get, and it was just like I just loved all the vibes with that.
You couldn't get those dice for a while there too. It was
I know.
rough.
I
have a whole
object.
box.
I object to custom dice systems. That's all I'm gonna say about
I know, and that was the
Okay.
one thing. Like if they could have come up with the mechanic to do it with regular dice.
You could have said the 11 is this and the 12 is this
Yeah.
and move on.
That's just, there was like this great idea that just like needed to be worked through a little bit more with that entire line of stuff. Because like once you played it a whole bunch, then you knew what the symbols meant and you could look at it. And I don't know why I was really good at like looking at it and being like, oh, means this. Like it was my vibe of tea leaves. I don't know. And then I was able to tell what it meant. And then some people are like had to look it up every single time, and I could just not. That would be terrible. That would be so awful.
Yeah.
But I would have to do that if it was numbers. Like there's no way I would remember the numbers with my brain. I would have to look it up every single time, and that would kill it. So there's a great nugget there that someone just needs to keep. I don't know, finish a metaphor
Bring it
in
back.
a good way. Yeah, or just I don't know. There's something there. I keep kind of messing with it in my head with like design intent too, because I'm like, I don't want custom dice because custom dice are really expensive to make.
Yes, also that.
And really, really hard to keep on the market.
Right.
But I don't know. There's something cool about just like the pictorial. I don't know, something. I don't know. I've got ideas.
We're starting to run out of ways to like do this whole dice thing. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. I feel like by the time we really run out of stuff, like the next thing will be around. So
I'm excited about the dice system I'm working on.
it is very good.
It's gonna be good.
All right, mailbag number 2. I will read this one since you wanted to do the third one, and it's also short, so yay. Hello, Empress Kimmy and her Jacker Court. Recently, I heard some interviews with some super popular actual play shows. All of them talk about the shows more as entertainment, like a live stage performance, than a home game. This is the one of the things I really love about Happy Jacks, and is that your APs feel much more like home games with friends. But I digress. The email is not about what makes a good AP. So I guess I have 2 questions. 1, do you feel like you're performing while doing APs? Does it feel the same as a stage performance to you? 2, thinking back about past home games and past AP games, what was your favorite personal moments in home games or APs? Verk from DC. P.S. Drink. PPS. Come join the Discord. We have cookies and game days. That's happyjacks.org/Discord. Excellent. So ours are weird. Like you probably could speak to this more because you've been on more actual plays than I have, Jason, for other people. I've done some, but they're like guest appearances and stuff like that for like fundraisers or stuff like that. So it's very different. We make our games here people invite each other because they're friends. Like, we don't have auditions, we don't have any of that stuff. We tried that in the past and it was just like too much. So it's basically like, if you're here, it's because you're someone's friend, so you're a friend. So we are playing as friends. And we've always had the vibe, and we've decided very specifically over the years to keep it as like, we're friends playing at the table. Like, you can watch us, that's cool, but we're going to play it like we play if you weren't here. And honestly, like, we very much like kept that vibe, I feel. Like,
Yep.
there's a little bit of a difference because we talk over each other a little less.
Well, and that's so if I can, like,
Yeah.
what I really value, I like that somebody like Critical Role is making a distinction
Mhm.
between what they're doing and what you can expect at your home table.
Yeah.
Because I remember a letter we got a while back
Yeah.
that was like, somebody was mad that they weren't doing voices and, up to the Matt Mercer level. I'm like, that dude is a fucking professional paid voice actor, and this is one of his performance avenues.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, that is a performance,
Mhm.
100%. And then we slide the dial down a little bit where, it turns out I now, so I've been gaming and running games for 35 years. That's a real number. That's not an exaggeration. That is longer than a lot of our now other hosts have been alive. But I now prefer playing in an AP, whether it's all remote or in the studio. The studio is my first choice because we can have facial expression and very easy back and forth. But
And drinks.
yes, and drinks. But the amount that we don't talk over each other, that we are paying attention to each other, that we are showing up on time, the same time every week, or giving everyone plenty of notice when we can't show up, like that it has this, that slider is not quite, like, I don't feel like I'm on stage, just because that's so, it feels like the stakes are so much higher on stage. But it doesn't feel like a home game entirely either, because we have some of those structures in place of, this is our schedule, this is how we stick to it, this is us not talking over each other, this is, we're taking notes, we're, helping each other out. But in those moments, everyone at this table is thinking, what would be the coolest thing to do right now? And it's not entirely, I'm in my character and I've got my cloak in the corner of the room, and it's, yeah, I don't know. I like that middle ground that we're in.
Yeah.
I think with this question in particular, I think with actual plays, it's very easy to see the difference between a group that is telling a story collaboratively versus people that want to perform. The things that make any table good, home game, actual play, or a purchase table, are going to be essentially universal. It, a table functions when everybody at the table understands that no one person's fun is more important than the other. And in the spirit of that, everybody's kind of working to make everything that's going on cool as shit. Um, when you're kind of waiting for your turn to talk and you're not listening, and you want the limelight, then you're gonna get probably what you're implying that you see, my friend. Like, it's just it's I think that games that you enjoy watching, the people playing enjoy playing. They're not doing it for numbers, money, or anything else. They're doing it because they're friends. I can attest. I don't know how I ended up on the show, but I'm very glad to be here. This is so cool. Like, and I love the Olive Garden style of putting tables together.
Yeah.
So, like, I think there's something to be said about watching a table where people are working together. And I'm not even going to say care about each other, because I've been in shows with people that I loathe, but we still tell a good story. It's
Yeah.
you gotta work together. So there you go.
Yeah. It's interesting because I often, and I don't know if it's my ADHD or like, I don't know, I'm just so used to it now, but I often, like, while we're streaming, I forget. It seems silly, but like, I kind of forget that we're streaming. Like, I'm like focused, especially if I'm GMing and stuff. Like, I forget it's a performance. I guess I don't forget we're streaming. Like, but it's become such a normal thing now. And I'm streaming with all the same people I would game with in my home games, and like you and Dave. Like we've done so many home games. Like, and it is my home. Technically, it's my garage, but it's my home. So like, to me, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't feel like a performance to me. But there's also people who would like watch me teach and be like, "Oh, that's very much a performance," and I'm like, "No, that's not a performance. That's me keeping, 24 5-year-olds entertained all day."
I'm gonna actually here. You are also a professional stage performer.
Yeah, that's
with
the other thing.
years of experience performing on a stage to live audiences.
Right.
Right. So I think it's sort of like the how much do you prep issue, right? Like you've spent years being a performer, so that part comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this it can feel different to somebody who like I don't perform on a stage, right?
Yeah.
But I do like entertaining a table of players, or if I'm running a game, or my fellow players if we're playing together. I like being a ham and saying the funny thing and whatever, or the thing that makes everyone groan, which is just feeds my soul. But I think we got to give people a little bit of credit. We're like, it is performance. It just comes so easily for you.
Oh, yeah.
That I just want to acknowledge that.
For
like,
sure.
Because you're very good at it is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think Burke is more asking like a personal question, like, how does it feel to you?
Yeah.
And I think that is a big distinction too, because I did spend, so many years. There's a very big difference between like, okay, we're all performing at the band on stage and like making sure we're all coming in, especially performing at Ren Fair when the audience is like interacting with you constantly and like shouting and mostly drunk and maybe having sex in the back. There's like,
did that really happen?
Oh yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So like one time, okay, so sidebar. So like, yeah, one time there was a couple in the back on the hay bales. She was sitting on his lap.
They were just doing it.
They were like, yeah, they think nobody knows because she's wearing skirts, and you're just like, so I'm singing my solo. I start walking down the middle aisle towards them, and I'm like singing really loudly my solo. The entire audience is turning to watch me walk down the aisle towards them, and I like take a pause. There's like a pause where like the rest of the band sings like a reaction thing, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to sing up here. Finish her off already. Freeze, and she starts laughing, and he falls back, and then I just turn around and walk and finish my solo. But that's like the kind of like that's like the Ren Fair like performance life that you just have. Like the moments just fly, and you just do the thing.
That's great.
Yeah, it's very fun. But yeah, I mean, and then in like actual theater and things like that, it's a very different level, and you're rehearsing and things like that. And again, this is like so small and intimate, and my friends, I don't know, it's just, and I think again, like when we first started, we were very nervous, and it felt very much like a performance, and that was 10 plus years ago now. So after 10 plus years of doing it almost every week or most of the year for many years, like it's, it chills out.
Also, it's worth mentioning, every time I'm GMing a new campaign, I get nerves beforehand. Yeah. Still. And I've been doing this for years. And it's my favorite way to play now, is playing here. Like part of Rick's question was, do you feel like you're performing? What are your favorite personal moments in home games or APs? I actually have been having more fun in APs because everyone at this table is practicing active listening, sometimes reflecting, sometimes double checking, safety tools. There are all these things that allow a better story to be told. And my highlights have been here doing this. Like I've never had anything like when the reveal of my robot boy in Dave's game. Yeah. I cried after that. Like the Masks game we did also with Dave, and maybe it's just Dave.
Dave is so
But like all of and again, so I don't know how long I've been coming here, 8 years or something.
No, it's been way more than that.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's been 4 since the pandemic.
Oh.
It's been
Okay.
almost 10 years.
Okay. So
Oh
more
my
than that.
god!
so like a third of
Yeah.
my gaming
Yeah.
life, and the best of those years has been here. Now, part of that is the kind of people Kimmy attracts and puts in games here, but oh yeah, when was Desert of Despair?
Yeah,
That'll
I'll
tell
look it
us
up.
something,
I'll look it up.
because it was a little right before that.
Keep talking.
But
4
the
years since the pandemic. I'm sorry, that blew my brain.
I know.
yeah, that I'm still reeling from that.
I keep forgetting that, and then I look at my kid. I'm like, "Oh, you're 4 years old. Yeah, okay."
Yeah, wild. So yeah, like some of my best personal moments have been here, and my worst personal moments have been at home games where we didn't have safety tools. We weren't listening to each other. We were storming out and never speaking to each other again. Like I didn't do that, but very childish
Had that
person.
happen.
Yeah, that happened at
I
my
remember
house.
that home game.
Yeah,
Yes.
that sucked
Yeah.
and felt bad.
2016, 2017 is when you joined us.
okay,
So
okay.
getting there.
So yeah, 8 years.
You're right.
Yeah, that's what. Noir, where are you on that with your home games versus AP games?
Well, the first question is, do you feel like you're performing when you're doing an actual play? I think you should be performing. Like, I think you should be performing to comfort whenever you're at the table. Like, I think that's part of the make believe. So yeah. In terms of my favorite moments, I think that certain people bring out the best moments, no matter if it's an actual play home game or like a professional, like private game. I think that there are just certain people that when you get them at the table, they lock in. And I mean, to your point, Kim, I kind of feel like, you know, it's like when you're jamming with musicians that you just met. Like after a while, you could kind of guess where they're going. And so like that's how the table feels to me. It's like, okay, you're gonna bring the sad boy, and it'll be a different sad boy. But like, you kind of know where everybody's going, and there is safety in that familiarity. So I think it doesn't matter what style you're playing. I think it's the people that you play with.
Yeah, I think so too. Like it's not even just the people at the table. Like it's not like the person at the table. It's like the combo of people at the table.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's fun. That's one of my favorite things, honestly, to do for Happy Jacks is like the AP casting and like putting people together and like making that magic and like, okay, what's this person gonna bring into this story? What's this person? And it is
now,
like
kiss.
Yeah, I mean, literally, I've had multiple relationships. My daughter got to be a flower girl at the wedding of a couple that I introduced at a table.
Oh yeah.
So,
We've had at least one wedding.
Yeah.
What? I can't
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway.
But yeah, we've had a lot of very successful friendships and relationships and things because I'm pretty good at putting people together. But it's also it really is like since it's Halloween week, like it's like a little potion. Like you want a little bit of this, you want a little bit of that. Okay, we need some sad boy. We need a little bit of drama.
If you put me in a game, I'm gonna try to kiss someone.
Yeah.
Like that's
We need the romance.
character wise.
Yeah, we need the loud one. Okay, we need a quiet one. Okay, let's mix them together. Yeah, it is very much an exciting, fun thing because it's the elements and then watching what they make out of it.
Yeah.
The casting cauldron.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really good casting cauldron. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Dang.
Hashtag.
Okay. Well done.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So good. And then was there another question? I feel like there was.
It was the two.
Oh, thinking back on past home games and past APs, was your favorite personal moment in home games or APs? I feel like
Can I add to
yeah,
that question
go
and
yeah.
ask what your favorite moment was? Like,
Oof, so good.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
really hard question.
Okay. Gosh.
You have to answer two. If you
Yeah.
ask the question, you have to answer two.
Yep. Yeah. You're hoisted on your own petard.
All right, I've got one in mind because it's real dumb, and I
Okay.
feel like great moments come from really dumb things in campaigns.
Yes.
In one game we have a I still don't know what class they are, but one of our party members is they love Boulade, which we have offshoot brands of things, um, and like in every other scene, he's chugging Boulade. We get into a fight with this evil sorcerer who is doing a ritual, and we're trying to get rid of the runes on the ground, and we just can't do it. What, this is slightly inappropriate, so trigger
That's
warning,
fine.
I guess.
We've had more inappropriate, don't worry.
But he looks to our GM and goes, I've been drinking Boulay all day, and we haven't had a chance to stop. And you said that these runes were made out of chalk. It's
Yeah.
so
So like an ammonia type substance
yes,
was
very
involved.
much,
Yeah. Yeah.
very much so. And that saved the day. And like it was just a stupid thing that nobody thought of. And we were getting you know when you're like in a fight or a door won't unlock and there's nothing you can do to get past it and the party is collectively salty.
Oh.
No, because I don't do that in my games.
I know what you mean. I know.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
awful.
Yes. This is my home game experiences.
uh
Oh,
to to get out of that being stuck in like the most disrespectful way where even the GM had to go, all right, I'll give it to you. Like it brought us together in a really weird way.
Yeah. Um, do you have your
I think
favorite
I have
moment?
mine. Yeah, I have a lot of them. It's hard to like pick. I think one of my favorite moments.
Wait, can I guess first?
Yeah.
Was it the Lord of the
Ooh.
Rings letter?
No,
Oh, okay.
that was also a great moment.
Okay.
But I think like thinking like back on like formative moments, that was amazing.
It was.
Kai wrote this amazing letter for the Lord of the Rings campaign I was running.
No, but
Aw.
also
Yeah,
the
in Sindar, and it was amazing.
the guy who had to leave the Hobbit. Was it Jay? Had to leave early?
Oh yeah.
That
Jay
letter
had to
was
leave. That campaign had so many good
yeah,
moments.
it was fucking amazing.
I'm trying to not pick because I feel like I've been pulling from that one so much since it was like a
I
year
mean,
ago.
it was that good.
It
That's
was a fantastic campaign. So good. If you love amazing elf, like fellowship, gay stories in Lord of the Rings, go watch it.
What
But
system? One Ring?
yeah,
Yeah.
I ran in the new One Ring system. So
it's a really good AP.
yeah. I'm a Tolkien fanatic. Like my daughter is named after stuff from the Silmarillion. Like my husband and I had a Lord of the Rings. Well, not Lord of the Rings. We had a Laurelin and Telperion, like the two trees wedding, like the whole
Nerd.
thing. So it's a lot. So like I was like deep in this, but I think
Okay.
one of like for my character, because I want to pick something that was for my character, not a game necessarily I was running. I think at the end of our Demigods campaign, when Abria's character ascended and my character
Spoilers.
yes, well it was from almost 10 years,
Yeah.
like 9 years ago. I guess we just determined 7 or
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think it was like 6 because it would been like 2018 or
Okay,
something.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like at the end of it, like we were like this like very odd couple friendship. She was like amazing influencer character. I was like, ace, kind of like paparazzo, hate everybody, and definitely not into anything. And then like adopting her twins, like having that kind of
Yeah.
wrap up moment where like she did that, and it was like up to me to take care of her kids, and I don't know. That's just like tied in so much with like our friendship and getting to know her, and then like I don't know, you making demigods. That's just a whole formative thing about starting both of us on the path of writing our own games, and there's just a lot of personal stuff tied up in that moment too, in addition to it being a cool character story beat.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Yeah, it's exciting.
I think for me, gosh, it's hard to boil down,
right?
But as a player, I mean, I want to say the reveal of Robot Boy, but like that was like a cool aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the long term, the Masks game playing the Doomed, where I've never really played a tragic character before, and having that story pile up and the way that it piled up was that was intense, and like I felt like I was in a good supported story where I could play a tragic character.
Yeah.
And that was formative for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think those moments where you are able to push past into a new comfort zone for the first time are really interesting. The first time I decided, okay, like I was like very like no romance at the table. I don't feel comfortable with that. And then the first time I was at a table, I'm like, okay, I feel like maybe I'm comfortable with this. Let's try this. And like a little, and then you try it, and like, oh, okay, I am comfortable. And like that's such a neat thing. It opens so many more story doors for you and future campaign, and maybe not every campaign, because again, like we're saying, it really matters who's at the table.
Yeah.
But those are cool moments too.
As a GM, let's do these moments.
Oh God.
Because honestly, so one, I was super excited to run Vault 818.
Yeah.
Because I love Fallout, and we were gonna play. We played Apocalypse World in the Fallout universe, and it did everything I wanted. It got so weird so fast. Thank you, Samantha. But I re-listened to it like 6 months ago, and the thing that your character had with the chickens that were actually little dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're mutant chickens, but you know. The
Omelet and quiche, right?
Yeah. Omelet and quiche, the chickens. That was I don't know, just like getting to facilitate that group and the stuff that was happening. Like I just was cracking up re-listening to you trying to train these chickens, and I died. So it was that's definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, it was one of my first times trying to be like a not intelligent character. Like I usually am like the cat herder mommy, like everybody, like I'm like myself in character, like type A. I will get everyone to go in the same way, like paladin, like do the right thing always. Like, I'm basically like the paladin kindergarten teacher in every game.
Yeah.
And then that one I was like, no, I will be different. And then I ended up like the paladin kindergarten teacher with low intelligence.
You're a barbarian kindergarten teacher.
But it was awesome.
I think barbarian might be better suited for that. No lie.
Very much. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a good one. Yeah. What about you, GMing, Noir?
GMing.
And don't be shy to say it was a scene with me in it. I'm okay with that.
Close, but
we played it like 2 games together.
There's extenuating circumstances for this moment, so I have to explain a thing real quick, which is I have been playing the same setting going on 20 plus years. And I had a really good friend of mine that we stopped talking for a while. So they got back in town, tried to reconnect, and I found out that they were a fan of actual plays, and he tuned in on an episode where our paladin has the Holy Avenger, and they were just, their roles were not great, so finally the sword had enough, sucked them in, and they had to fight all the previous owners
Oh,
of that sword. To kind of say you got this for a reason, quit acting like a punk. And the first wielder of that sword was my buddy Omnis.
Oh,
And so my player finally fights through all these other paladins and gets to his character, and he's the one that delivers the final, thesis of the whole point of this, which is stop looking for help. You're all the help you need. That's why you have the sword. Um and um he hit me up after that. After 20, after not 20, but like a good 10, 15 years of not really talking to each other. That's how we reconnected. And my player got to actually meet Dimaglodox, the paladin.
oh, that's
that's
And
cool.
amazing.
so them talking, like, I feel like that's what GMing is about. It's about like showing people things in themselves that they have a hard time or don't accept about themselves. Like, like I didn't really start to believe in myself until the table, and I met the right GM at the right time, and they were just like, "Ain't none of that punk stuff. I'm gonna put you front and center. You got this."
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to do that too. So like, that's my top GMing moment, is just introducing a new friend to a very old friend because of a story that they're both in.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love that.
Gosh. Uh. Yeah, there's so many moments. It's probably going to be something from Unsung Tales. I think the thing I'm most proud of in Unsung Tales, God, it's cheating because it's not like a moment. It was a couple moments, but at one point in the beginning, kind of early on in the campaign, they each character had dreams, and I did a thing where I was like, "Tell me about your dream." Like they got to make them up, like whole cloth. And then I would, at the end of each description, I was like, okay, that, and I'm going to add this small detail. And at the time, I knew completely, perfectly, exactly how it was going to tie in with the entire campaign. Ha ha ha, mustache twirl. But then, like, finding those moments, like, throughout the campaign of, like, sudden, like, those moments where you get that idea. Like, they're headed down that path, and you're like, oh, hey, Jay described this weird orb that was glowing in his dream. And then you're like, this could totally be this thing. And like, you totally like bring it back and you make their dreams actually come to pass.
Yeah.
Without like shoehorning them down a path with a story that they've been creating. Like those are the moments for me that just like, they give you goosebumps and you're just like so excited. And then they get so excited the minute they're like, oh man, the thing I came up with is now like it's actually happening. Like this is what it meant the whole time. And you're like, yes, the whole time. So I think those are my favorite things, kind of that from that campaign. It was fun describing all the places I've loved and thought about my whole life and making those things up. But I think that, as far as GMing, was like more interesting and unique.
Yeah, that the setup and then getting the payoff
Yeah.
is incredible.
So beautiful. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Burke. Great questions. Very thought-provoking.
Burke also is one of our main moderators in the Discord. So if you see him around in there.
And on the show.
Yep. And has been on the show several times. Yeah.
Last episode, I think.
Shall we do Mailbag 3?
Yes, please. Thank you, Jason.
From the way back machine of 2018.
A theme tonight.
Which we just talked about.
Yeah.
Dear outrageously unhinged channelers of horrendously effluent bits of aggressive gaming stories. There, Stork, be happy. First letter of each word is douchebags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah!
Happy Easter!
Hey. Happy Easter 2018.
The holiday that should be remembered by locking someone in a dark room for 3 days without food or water, but instead somehow wound up with a bunny. I blame pagan snowflakes. Okay. But putting that aside, I wanted to send a quick email. It's not too late. I'm only 72 words in. Wait, 76, 77. To let you know that after moving 1,600 miles across the country, I have created a new gaming group. 3 of my kids, 3 others from the local community, at a local magic/video game shop that was thinking about bringing gaming in. I simply hit up 3 of the closest gaming types of shops, found one that was open to hosting me as long as I buy something on occasion, and have started running a weekly Saturday game from noon to 4. I've had mixed results, with the first games only having my kids. Built-in gamers really help kickstart a group, yes. But by simply sitting down for 4 hours in a public game, in public to game, we have introduced about half a dozen gamers to D&D and picked up 3 more that join us basically every week. The key has been to show up every week to play and have a general area prepared for the players to explore. I had 3 major quote-unquote plot lines running. One involving doppelgangers, one involving a wizard researching ruins, and one involving an ongoing fight between a minor demon and devil. I let the players start by hearing about the ruins, and they quickly work their way into the other stories by simply trying to interact more with the wizard, who was trying to stay out of the way of the other 2 plot lines. I have striven to keep the game focused on the players and making everything they do important to the world. So my little editorial note, that's the number 1 goal. Make the story about the players, not shoehorning them into some random shit going on. What they choose to do has an immediate positive effect, and what they don't has had a minor negative. It has, I think, helped to make the players feel very important to the world, and that has made the game fun for them, which has made it fun for me. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that little bit of stakes, understanding your decisions matter. Yeah. Thinking back over the last few seasons, I wonder if the biggest lesson I have learned from Happy Jacks has been that the point of gaming, like the point of life, is to find your fun where you can. The players want to be important, so by having 3 factions, I have a real world with unconnected stuff going on. This is what I have fun creating and revealing to the players through their interactions and deductions. And their questions keep the world moving and help me flesh it out as they change it. One of the players in my last game started to try to bring some real world plate tectonic knowledge into play to understand how a mountain could be by itself in a plains, and if it could be volcanically active. This turned out to be my highlight of the campaign so far, as it occurred to me that magical theory might change understanding. So I quickly stated that he had read about a theory, he rolled a nat 20 on his magic theory skill, hell yeah, that inside the planet, left over from the creation of the world, a war raged between earth and fire elementals responsible for the creation of the planet. Sometimes the war raged close to the surface, and the effects of the fighting were seen as fronts spewing lava into the world. Oh, I love that idea. They're like elbow the crust of the earth pops up. You're like, they're just getting into it.
This is so cool.
Yeah. And to be able to roll with it like that, that's good GMing.
Yeah.
The player just stared at me, then a big grin spread across his face. He took the lineup and embellished it some for his party. It was a win-win, and everyone had a good time with it. I'm developing it further, as I really like the idea personally. But that one question made the past 6 weeks of work on the game totally worth it. So, what do you jackers think? Is the point of gaming as simple as finding what makes it fun for you, what makes it fun for others, and working together to tell a story that tries to promote both things? Take a drink and tell me your thoughts. Ed from Minnesota, now in Florida.
Huzzah.
Thank you, Ed, if you're still listening.
First off, the world Ed is in, writing that is so much different.
Yeah. It's weird to think about that.
Oh, man.
It's fun to read back on the ones who are like, so I want to tell you about this new thing called PBTA. And you're just like, oh yeah, back in the day. Yeah, I mean, is the point of gaming as simple as finding what makes it fun for you, and yeah, just making it fun.
Yeah.
I think yes. I hate to jump to like the answer right away, but I don't think it's a game. So if you're not having fun, why are you playing?
Yeah. Although I think this is some of what table tools and safety tools help facilitate.
Yeah.
Is making sure we all have the same expectations of what's in a game.
Yeah.
Right? Like understanding that I don't want you to just kill our horses when we get to the woods. Like, why did you do that, GM? That's a home game nightmare. That happened to me.
Yeah.
You're like, well, you couldn't take them in the woods anyway. Like, I set them free then. Like, nope, they're dead.
Oh.
What?
Oh,
Anyway,
man, we gotta fight
You're
somebody.
dead to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to me, I like that it's great. Like this guy is able to turn on a dime and come up with this story, and that's cool. That's an experienced GM flexing a little bit. That's awesome. But when you have a table and say like, hey, I'm gonna run this dark fantasy, light horror. There's gonna be some magic in it. We're not gonna have guns, right? Whatever, right? You just like lay out. Okay, here's the story. Here's the kind of vibe I want to set. And if we're gonna stream that, let's make sure everyone knows that we're getting into it, so that no one is like, well, my line is dark fantasy. Like, oh shit. That's my game, though.
The entire point of this.
So, managing expectations, I think, is a huge part of finding the fun, right? Like getting the game to be the thing that you find fun and trying to make sure everybody has a piece of that can be part of the opening game conversation. I think it should be.
Yeah. And I think also, I think this is a great example. And you mentioned how the GM was rolling with it. Because I've had moments like this too, where like I was GMing, especially as a new GM, and someone's like, "Well, it doesn't make scientific sense. Why would there be an island right here?" And you're like, "Because it's a fantasy game and
Magic
I made it
shit.
up."
Yeah.
It's like, well, because magic? You're not questioning that there's dragons that exist, but you're questioning like the plate tectonics of the island that you're visiting right now.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding? So it's great to like having had a very almost identical experience, but with an island instead of a mountain, like it was a frustrating moment as like a new GM. I was like, well, because really, I planned everything else, and that's what are you doing, Bruce? Stop it! Stop talking about that. And it was just one of those things. So I feel like the ability to not. Because I kind of froze it for a second, got a little annoyed. I mean, I was also like, it was literally like my first campaign I ever tried to run. It was like,
gosh.
and I mean, he was being nice about it. Like, we were very good friends, so he was like just joshing with me. But it was like having this moment and being like able to just jump on like this cool thing, and then having the player like, oh, that's so cool, and like latch onto that. I love how it was a moment that could go negative, especially with like a game that sounds like it's sort of cobbled together in a game shop, which. Sometimes those are wild. Yeah. And like became this cool moment that you're remembering like later on. I don't know, that's a really great win for me. I love that.
There's a reason why yes and is at the heart of improv and why people utilize that at the table. And I don't want to gloss over the fact that your players' happiness is important to you, and that is not as common as it should be. That is a mark to your skill and to the culture that you cultivate at your table. So kudos to you, man. Like that's nothing to look over. Like, it's wild how many people look for a reason to say no in a game where magic exists.
Yeah.
Like,
They're right.
If something doesn't make sense, well, guess what? Dragons don't make sense either. Neither do Tarrasque or gelatinous cubes
or earth elementals or whatever. Like,
right,
none of that makes sense.
So don't use that as a reason to say no. Like, make it part of the game, and that's what you did. And like, I think a lot of people should take that from you. So, yeah, the point of the game is everybody's fun matters, and we should all. If nobody should be diminishing fun at the table, why would you come to a place where everybody's trying to have a good time, only to like diminish it?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
weird.
Well,
That's weird.
and
Don't
I,
do that.
That's
I
a
think
great way to say.
in 2018 we were probably this would have been early in talking about being a fan of the players, a fan of your players as the GM, right? Like you should be your players' biggest fan. I want you to win. I'm going to give you something cool and difficult to do because when you win, it'll feel better. Or if you lose, that drama will feel real, right? Like my job is to give you a cool opportunity, and then we'll play it out together. And I have to be the devil's advocate rolling dice, but I'm rooting for you, right? Like I want you to win, and letting the dice be part of the storytelling engine lets me disconnect from that a little bit. I don't have to be antagonistic as a GM, right? And I'm always quick to be like, okay, real quick, I'm being this character and I'm being an asshole to you, right? Because this guy sucks, right? Okay, now as your GM, what do you want to do about this guy who sucks, right? That I want my players to know I'm rooting for them, and
Yes.
like nobody is more on their team than me,
Mhm.
and that's my role at the table, and I feel like Ed gets that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for writing in back then, Ed from Minnesota, now in Florida. If you're still listening, write in and tell us where you are now. All right. Thank you for joining us for season 34, episode 17 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. Please support our amazing indie designer of the month, Audrey Stoltz, aka Lady Tabletop. You can find her at ladytabletop.itch.io and hopepunkpress.com. Thank you to our chat mod, James V., and to our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. You can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. We don't do ads or sponsorships of any type, so thank you to our Patreons for keeping the lights on and the mini fridge full. My name is Kimmy, and you can find me here usually. We are not doing Starscape tomorrow, but we will be back the following, in the first Monday of November with our starting to wrap up our Starscape campaign.
Yeah.
And that's it for me right now at the moment. So, Jason.
Okay. Yep, I'm Jason. You can follow me on Twitch at It's Probably Okay. Also on Blue Sky. And on Instagram, it's Probably Okay Games with underscores between those words. And that's most of what I've got. I stream Wednesday, Thursday, Friday pretty reliably, and some other pop-up streams here and there. Fridays, currently, my stream is here on Happy Jacks, playing the Die RPG with Noir and Sam. And we've got a whole group of people. It's very, very fun. I only mentioned Sam because Sam and I usually stream together on Fridays.
Yes.
And so it's very rowdy and fun. And you can find the game I made at probablyokgames.com, home of the okayest games around.
Noir.
Hello, everybody. I'm Noir. You can find me all over the internet as The Noir Enigma. That's Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, the whole shebang bang. Also, be sure to check out my website, noirville.com or thenoirenigma.com. It takes you to the same place. There you can find merch, all the stuff we're doing in Noirville, as well as my Start Playing Games profile. If you'd like me to GM at your table, I'd love to do it. So let's get that cracking. Mondays, you can find me over on Althaven for The Last Excelsior, our Star Trek game. Thursday, over on Crit Hit Chronicles for Tales of the Valiant. And then Friday, right here, for Return to Rayless. It's going to be a good time. It's my first time playing the Die RPG system, and I'm playing the absolute worst kind of person.
So much fun. Awesome. All right. All done? Did you have anything else to plug, Nora?
Oh, no, I'm done.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, if you want to check out all the shows on the Happy Jacks Network, you can go to happyjacks.org. We've talked about a whole bunch of our old APs today, so you can go check those out. We've been doing those for a really long time in over 20, 25, I think, different systems, new ones all the time. So yeah, super, super fun. Go check it out. Today we are going, like always, we are going to leave you with a song. We are going to leave you with a song called Petroleum Swell by our friends at Eclectotron, which is a side band of our friends at the Dread Crew of Oddwood, the pirate band from the Renaissance Fair. Because really everything comes back to Ren Fair eventually in this podcast. So yeah, check it out, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.